Ladies and gentlemen, I am StooDogg. Today's reaction video will focus upon famous Fairtube Tons and Tons of Press, the second of the updates released by JoergSprave regarding the Fairtube initiative. Anyway, let's get on with the show.
Hello and welcome to Fairtube. The thing is really running great. We got so much press. Right now we have about 38 different newspaper articles on our website, so you can find all the links there.
As per usual, I will have them linked down below.
So we thought, let's just pick some of them and take a closer look at the text. And I'm going to do this from here. And then, of course, I have my friends at the IG Metall in Frankfurt. And today they're going to go and talk from their library, which is really an interesting public place because they sure have some interesting books there.
Hi, yes, so today we're not on the 15th floor of IG Metall's headquarters building in Frankfurt. Instead, we're on the ground floor in the library.
So let's start with the article from MIT Technology Review. And I actually love that article because it's completely professional. So the author really got experts for all of the legal issues involved. And I think it's completely unbiased. So great article. Thanks very much for that. The only thing is I would like to talk to that lawyer who was speaking about false self-employment, because I believe if I would be able to explain to him how the life of a YouTuber really is and how much power YouTube exerts over the YouTubers, that he will probably change his mind and say, yeah, that is actually false self-employment.
YouTubers are treated like employees with all of the rules, all of the conditions, all of the terms, and none of the benefits.
So, Six, what do you think about it?
I think we have a communication challenge. Most of the ways that YouTube controls YouTubers are invisible to everyday YouTube users. So obviously the lawyers that are being interviewed for these articles are experts in the law. They're legal experts, they know their material. We haven't fully communicated how YouTube works, and that's on us. We have to get more people to get what's happening behind YouTube.
So the legal experts interviewed for their opinions on the matter know a lot about the law, but they don't know anything about running YouTube channels. This is where legal YouTubers like Leonard French may be of a benefit to have as a source for such an article.
On the topic of GDPR, every European lawyer that I've talked to about this has told me that they think that this data, the labels applied to the videos by YouTube, are personal data of the YouTubers. We'll see what YouTube thinks about this. We're ready to go to the European Court of Justice if we have to.
It has been shown that YouTube affixes a form of labeling system to denote what is in content. Labels for violence, labels for swearing, labels for different types of video games have been seen to be applied to videos in the past. However, after YouTubers started finding these labels, YouTube started hiding these labels.
Then we have the article from Vice Motherboard. And Vice clearly understands the significance of this joint venture because together we are a dream team. The IG Metall has experience in the fight against big companies. They have the resources and they also have the political connections and influence. But of course what we have at the YouTubers Union is the deep insights into the YouTube ecosystem, and also we have access to the YouTube community, otherwise we wouldn't be talking to you now.
This was the first article about Fairtube in English. The interview was a huge pleasure to give. I'm also really grateful that the writer allowed me to make the point about the mental health effects of the lack of transparency on YouTube's part.
Mental health, that's an interesting angle to come from. Seeing people literally going mad trying to work out what YouTube wants from them, as well as seeing people actually destroy themselves and literally doing crazy things for views and performing insane acts just to try and reach the subscriber goal and watch time goal to get into the partner program.
This is not something fun to talk about. Unfortunately, it's something we need to talk more about, I think. This is really serious. The fact that you can put a ton of energy and time and money into a video and then have it demonetized or blocked and not be given a good reason.
Or any reason at all.
And not be able to talk to a human being about it and not be given any guidance about how to get it fixed.
Something stated in almost every single video. Give us a fucking human being to talk to.
Obviously, it has economic consequences for YouTubers. We're a trade union, we talk about economic consequences, but it also has psychological consequences. There have been a few articles, for example, from Julia Alexander in The Verge and Simon Parkin in The Guardian about stress, anxiety, depression, and burnout, and some even more serious psychological consequences among YouTubers. And like I said, it's not a fun topic.
It's quite interesting. I wasn't aware that there were magazine and newspaper articles about mental health amongst YouTubers. I was aware that there are some videos on I believe it's the Creator Insider channel, about mental health and burnout that I've watched a few of.
But I think at this point it's quite clear that these unpredictable, unaccountable automated systems and the lack of a human contact person for most YouTubers contribute significantly to these problems.
Definitely the lack of a actual human to talk with if something goes wrong is definitely one of the main problems that I have with YouTube as a platform.
And believe it or not, we even made it into the London Times. I can really see these distinguished people in their cool clubs, reading the Times and then reading about us. Great. And I also love their phrase, you have nothing to lose but your channels. Yeah, channels that are already like only half of what they used to be because of how YouTube treats us. Landmark industrial dispute. If that's not an epic term, then I don't know what is.
The Times of London. This was amazing to receive coverage from the Times of London. This is certainly the oldest publication that has written about Fairtube so far. I think the Times of London is even older than IG Metall. Behind me, you can see some of the oldest documents from the founding of the forerunner organizations of IG Metall from 1891. If my Wikipedia skills are up to date, the Times of London was originally founded in 1785, so that's cool.
This all sounds like it's older than this old camera. And that's pretty cool.
Then we have the New York magazine. I think that author really, really understands where we're coming from. We don't want to burn YouTube down to the ground.
Agreed. Despite its flaws, I do love the rough diamond that is YouTube. I do not want to see it harmed. I do not want to see it burnt to the ground. I merely want to see it improve, even if those improvements are marginal.
We really want to bring it back into good shape.
Yeah, repair the damage that has been done to it over the last few years of mismanagement.
So that everybody benefits.
A fairer YouTube for everyone.
Fairness and transparency in YouTube's moderation practices. Yeah, that sounds as reasonable as it is.
I do not view the demands of the union to be unfair or unreasonable in any way.
This article from New York Magazine is definitely the funniest. So far, I laughed in my typical American surprise at reading the description of our announcement video with Jörg and my boss's boss, Christiane Benner, as charmingly Teutonic.
Charmingly Teutonic. I like it.
That is pure dynamite.
There was just something charmingly Teutonic about that entire video.
Thanks a lot for your generous introduction.
Especially at the end.
But I can guarantee this is gonna be a shitstorm that hasn't been seen ever before.
Truly, beautifully epic.
As the only American on the team, I can say it's correct and fair. A sort of more content-related remark, the writer of this article quoted a great series of tweets from Julia Carey Wong, who writes for The Guardian. It's a series of tweets from a few months ago. And the writer of the article said this is a sharp series of tweets. I think it's right. I'm going to read it in its entirety. It's a little long, but I think it answers some of the comments from some of the labor lawyers who have been being interviewed about our initiative. So this is what Julia Carey-Wong tweeted in June before we started any of this. We haven't talked to her, by the way. This is completely independent. She says, "We tend to group YouTube in with Facebook and Twitter when discussing problems with its platform. But I think it might be more useful to think about it like Uber, but for broadcasting. YouTube is basically the employer of its star creators. It pays them money in exchange for work, but it also sets up very loose rules that maintain the legal fiction of a non-employment relationship. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and other social media platforms simply do not have the same relationship with their top contributors because the money still has to come from somewhere else. An Instagram influencer relies on the platform, but their money comes from elsewhere."
And quite often, that Instagram influencer's income comes from YouTube, from doing makeup tutorials, reviews, stuff like that.
Under YouTube's revenue sharing model, it's paying people to broadcast content that it does not take any responsibility for. That's literally insane.
It's almost like a form of agency work, with YouTube being the agency.
Then the channel Representative Press made a new video based on ours. Actually, they took ours and removed a few not so interesting parts and completely changed everything in it. And I think it's a much better video. So I have to confess, I am really not the best video editor in the world. But I think I can probably make a better slingshot.
He's probably right about making the better slingshot. I'm not going to comment on his editing because I don't want him to shoot at me with a slingshot or a bow.
Don't get caught by the huntsman's bow, the huntsman's bow, the huntsman's bow. Don't get caught by the huntsman's bow, the huntsman in the morning. Don't get caught by the huntsman's bow, the huntsman's bow, the huntsman's bow. Don't get caught by the huntsman's bow, the huntsman in the morning. Many have fallen to the huntsman bow, the huntsman bow, the huntsman bow. Yes, many have fallen to the huntsman bow, the huntsman in the morning.
Please don't shoot me, I really like your work. Anyway...
You should watch that video, it's really, really cool.
You know, it's okay, Jorg. You don't have to be the best video editor on the internet, but you're definitely the best slingshot maker on the internet.
Honestly, JoergSprave is epic at making slingshots and crossbows and longbows and just generally anything that shoots things.
And you know, like everyone who left a comment on our first video said, "You look great in a suit."
He is a very dapper man in a suit.
Fairtube is unbeatable. Yeah, then CNBC really delivered one of the best quotes that I've seen. Whether or not YouTube decides to change its policies as a result, the support Fairtube has gained is a clear indication that the traditional notion of work is no longer relevant for many people. Companies ranging from Google to Lyft have struggled to keep up as workers demand greater protection and in a rapidly changing economy. And now it seems YouTube is no exception. Absolutely, there is a ton of truth in that argument. You know, all these gig economy platforms have kicked around their workforce for too long. Now people are just not taking it anymore. And we will see massive changes in that industry. It's time. Even the Uber driver that was driving me from the YouTube headquarters in San Bruno to my hotel somewhere in Oakland actually seemed ready to go on strike and take up the fight. Okay, that was our little press analysis for today. I hope you liked it, and I hope that you have already joined the YouTubers Union, and maybe even the IG Metal if you're in Germany. You can easily join the YouTubers Union by becoming a member of our Facebook group. It doesn't cost anything and there's zero obligations. So, come on, join us. And that's it for today. Thanks and bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was famous Fairtube Tons and Tons of Press. I will be back next time with the next video in the series, which will be YouTube's first response, deadline fast approaching. I have been StooDogg, and I'll catch you next time. See ya.
Fairtube is unbeatable.